Hi Juan, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. So I have some questions to ask you today about your academy experience. So how do you feel you've transitioned from the 1010 Academy to your client work?
I feel it has been a fairly smooth transition, really, to be honest. I don't really have much experience in this work area or environment, but I do feel that the guidance of both the client and 1010 have helped me move or transition from, I guess we can call a learner or a student role to a more professional and actually working in the field role. I feel it was fairly fine.
So if you could take me through your placement, so what client teams have you worked with and what specific projects have you been responsible for during that placement?
Well, I work for a client that is mostly situated in the finance industry, mostly providing loans and financial services outside of the UK. They have different teams, each focusing on a different aspect of the application that is used, not really by the customers, but by the agents, which they in turn use to provide a different service to the customers. My team, which I really remain from the beginning of my placement till now, which it's not quite common, honestly. Is mainly focused on the, I guess we can call the main application which the agents use to sell the loans and different services to the customers. I work in a couple of major projects. See, the client has a very CI/CD approach to development, in which they are always looking for new features to add or to update existing features. Also, in addition, given the nature of the industry, that finance industry is always subject to changing regulations and laws, they always need to do some adjustments. I guess the major projects I've been will be to add an additional service, basically, to provide further enhancement to the contracts, as well as to migrate to new products. This comes in relation to the changing regulations, as we need to update the products we offer, and it's easier if we have a method to do it via the application. Currently, we're working on insurance on the field of adding insurance in the application too.
Amazing. It sounds like you're doing a million different things at once, which is great. Keeps your brain kind of working and going into
Yeah.
different aspects,
Yeah.
definitely. So because you're doing so many different things, do you know what like parts of the 1010 Academy that you picked up have been the most useful within that placement?
I will say the most useful ones have been the ones learning mostly about the development process, the agile approach, the design approach, since it's one that the client uses a lot, knowing what different terms, different sprint, what is a sprint, what is a three amigos, that has helped me a lot, not only better understand how it works, but also more in, I guess, embedding myself in the culture of the place. In addition to that, I will say overall organizational, just learning how to, I guess, behave will be I guess, a good word for it, to just approach the situation in a work environment. As I say, I didn't have much experience in this field, so I think that helped me a lot. And while not directly, as I'm a developer, knowing how testing works has helped me better engage with the testing side of things, as I can understand better the feedback and what the process the testers go by, which help me, design and understand and explain things better when I provide I guess, the drafts.
Yeah, I think what you said about behavior in particular is really important because it's not something that you think about, but if
Hmm.
you've not worked in, especially I think, an office type of job before, or working with clients or working with someone that you might need to pitch or present to someone higher up than you, there is a certain type of etiquette or behavior, the way you type an email, the way you acknowledge somebody. It is very important, and it is one of the things that I feel like you don't really learn until you do them. So I think the fact that you picked it up within the academy is definitely, seems like such a minor thing, but actually can be really important, because if you
Hmm.
don't present anything in the right way, then you're just going to get in trouble. So
No,
it will
yeah,
be
definitely.
so what is a normal working day or working week for you?
Well, I guess it varies depending on if we're currently working on or in the middle of a project, or we're like nearly the end of it. Usually we're near the end of it because different stages of the project are not don't all finish at the same time. Sometimes one has a little of free time, or to mostly just focus on, I guess, polishing up the end product. In which case, I will be mostly talking with the testers, hearing their feedback, fixing any defects that may come up just checking what comes next. But obviously, while in the middle of the project, is mostly just working on it. My approach, and it's not really the universal approach, is trying to work on a part of a feature on the feature or the feature itself, and then testing myself if it works, and then just building up from there. Obviously, very heavy working days, I will just be working on that from the beginning to end, just focus on that.
Because you've been doing so much, and I know you've been at your client for quite a while, so have your roles or responsibilities changed at all since starting at your placement?
Well, as far as official role, my role is still the same as being mobile developer. As far as responsibilities, I feel like, as naturally, I've been given more like independence from the rest. Obviously, when one is just beginning in this type of setting, one needs a lot of hand holding. Even though as a programmer, I know what programming is, the code and all that, but I don't know their code and I don't know what I've done so far. So, and that's what I need the help with, obviously. Now, yeah, I feel like I can give it a little more responsibility, a little more space to work on my own instead of having someone always on my side. Of course, there's always some support on not only from me, but not only for me, but also from me to others if they may need to.
That's really good. It's really nice, that feeling of starting, by getting tips from somebody or shadowing somebody first. And then when you break that away and start doing it yourself, I think sometimes you don't really clock it at the time. And then when it comes to something like when you're doing a review, you look back on all the progress you made and you think, wow, like I've done all that, which is always really exciting. I think particularly for a tech career, because it is so complex and you're doing so many different things, going from watching to then doing, and especially doing independently is massive. I think half the time when you're working, you don't really realise you're doing it. It's hard to like kind of track it in a way until you stand back and then kind of look back at the situation. What technology, tools, frameworks, and processes have you gained experience with since starting your client work?
My client mainly uses a C Sharp for the development of the applications. C Sharp is fairly intuitive if you are familiar with Java, which I was thankfully, so it was fairly easy to grasp the basic of it. And as I go on, I learn more and more about the differences and the particular aspects of it. But as far as new things go, they make use of this, I guess we can call it framework called Xamarin, which is basically allows you to develop mobile apps using only C Sharp. We do still use a Kotlin and Android Studio for the UI aspects, but yeah, mostly use C Sharp. So while not necessarily involved directly with me, I have been learning a bit of JavaScript on the side because I know it's also used with the client, and I would like to have some knowledge of it if it ever comes necessary.
Amazing. And how has your client supported your development? I know you mentioned in shadowing and teaching you that way, but are there any other things that you'd like to touch on with that?
Yeah, mostly has been either in explaining how the current code base work, how the different, I guess, quirks we can call them, aspects of the code existing. I have also opportunities to talk one-to-one with them, and we've had a few sessions with which we call knowledge sharing session, basically when one or more members of the team explain the aspect in which they're knowledgeable in, and to others, so we're more, I guess, uniform in what we know and how it works. I also been proposing that we share more knowledge between the people working on the back end of things, mostly on the API systems, which I am not usually very involved, but I would like to know more about. So obviously we've been a little busy right now, but I'm hoping to maybe push a little bit more for it comes next year.
That sounds great. Sounds like you're getting loads of help over there, and it seems like quite a nice culture in a way. And regarding 1010, have you received any support from 1010 during your placement as well?
Well, yeah, obviously I can give them the access to courses at the beginning with Udemy and now with LinkedIn. They helped me with the exam I did take last year for AWS, and I'm trying to practicing for another one soon, so I may also ask them for that too. Besides that, obviously, there's the common catch-up meetings where we explain what we're doing, and they help us with like guide us what we can do to maybe get better, yeah, become better in the workplace, or we can propose to become better members in the place.
Brilliant. And have you been given any extra opportunities for your client work? So this could be anything to do with traveling somewhere, specific events, or any sort of charity or community work even.
My client does work on some charities from occasion to occasion. Obviously, on Christmas time they working for this charity or other account, Mother Share. I have it open there, which is like mostly for kids poverty. But they do in some charity and some social events from time to time. I participated from them from time to time, but I do admit this is mostly of a personal thing since there's always this unconscious divide that you're like 1010 consultant not fully in. But now that as I'm transitioning, I feel like I'm gonna be more and more active in those aspects.
Great. And I have one more question today to finish up today's interview. If there's anybody watching this that's considering joining the academy, what sort of advice would you give to them?
I will say go in with with an open mind, and also go in expecting that you will always expecting to learn, always expecting to come in and try to learn as much as you can, not only from the instructors but from your peers as well, because there's a lot of different people with different knowledge there. Since we get from people from different backgrounds, and I think that's a good idea to try and learn different things and different tricks. I guess we can call them, so you are as best prepared for whatever it is you're coming with. I guess another advice I could use to be flexible, which I know is very encouraged there. Not only in the usual position or role, but be flexible in whatever situation you're in. No, don't over specialize yourself, because if there comes a moment in which that won't work, you will not know how to react. So I think I think willing to learn things outside of your expertise helps you with that, which I know Ten10 provides very well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very important to have an open mind in the sense that pick up as many things as you can, because you never know what you're going to go into. So it's in that sense of having an open mind too. But yeah, you're so right about picking up not only from the tutors but from people around you, because some people might have worked in tech, some people might not have. But again, going back to that kind of general behavior of working in a place like that, some people might know more than you, or you might be able to teach other people, which is always quite nice as well. But yeah, that was some really good advice, and there were some brilliant answers as well. So thank you so much for speaking to me today.
Thank you, likewise.